All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you everybody for joining. This is really going to be just a quick overview to show you how you can use your existing automated telecom services to really get the most out of working remotely and away from the office. My name is Leo. I know I've spoken to most of you at some point or another over the phone. I'm going to turn it over quickly to Ian here, and he's going to say a couple words.
All right, thank you for all joining. This is our first webinar, so give us a little slack in this, but we're trying to create some tools that you guys can use going forward. And at the end of it, we'll have a couple other ones. We'll just see what your interest is. You can just reply to the email and let us know if you're interested in those, and we'll develop those. We thank you for your business, and we're here to help you, as you know. Over the next week, we are actually going to be practicing what we are preaching. So Anna, Aaron, Leo, and I all be working from our homes using this exact same product. We're actually taking our desk phones home. So we're going to use it in a combination of the desk phones and the UC client, and you'll be able to see how that works. One of the key things that makes the UC client work the best is some of us are used to having inbound ring groups that ring several extensions simultaneously. We're going to suggest in the presentation, I just kind of want to plant the seed first that you go do an auto attendant with a dial by name or dial by extension to get calls to go directly to an extension. And that's all I have to say for that. So Leo, I'm going to turn it back over to you to go through the presentation. Thanks.
All right, so for those of you who may have only heard us over the phone and not really know us, this is a picture of the automated telecom team. Again, we offer a variety of cloud-based solutions, and our phone systems really do help you pick up and go wherever you need to go. And in times like these, this is especially important. So I'm over on the left, that's me, Leo, and that's Anna, Ian, and Aaron on the very right. It's always nice to put a face to the voices that you hear over the phone. But again, our platform that we offer our services through is going to make sure that we're able to meet your needs in trying times. So we have a couple of different options from being able to work from home. All of them come with some sort of limitation, but they're all there to offer some different options. So your first option is going to be to take your phone home. For those of you who have automated telecom phone service through us, you have a desktop phone that's sitting on your desk in your office. So that phone you can pretty much take and connect anywhere else that you have an internet connection, and you should be able to get it up and running. Most of the phones that our customers have are not Wi-Fi enabled. A few of them are, some of the newer ones, but again, most of them are not. So you will require a physical internet connection, meaning you're going to have to have a cable connected from the phone to your internet router. That's one thing to consider. I know most homes have a router in one location, and that may not be the best place for you to set up your home office, but just something to think about. Another thing is a lot of the setups that we do in offices require or don't require a direct power source, so you don't have a cable going from the phone to a power outlet because the setup that we do powers the phone in a separate way. So if you do take your phone home, consider that you might require a power source. Those are right now in limited supply. We do have a limited quantity of those. So if it's something that you're considering and you might want to opt for taking your phone home, let us know. We can let you know if it's something that we can provide for you in terms of the power source or whether or not you'll need it. So again, and depending on your setup in your office, you may already have these. The other thing to consider is that for the desktop phones, they're all tied to a physical address. If they're in the office, and that address is going to be the address that's your office address. But by law, we have to update that phone for liability purposes. If you ever dial 911, emergency services needs to know where to send the appropriate party. So if you do take that home, you're going to want to provide us with that address so that we can update that in the system. And keep in mind that there is a type of tax that goes along with this. Typically, that's billed at $2.95 a month. For now, we're going to be billing it at $2 a month for the next 3 months or so while this whole situation goes through. And then one more thing to consider is when we set up your phones in your office, we have a little bit of control sometimes as to how the network is set up. So uh, typically, we program your network to work optimally with our voice over IP services. When you take your phone home, there might be some settings on your home network that we might have to modify or that could affect your service. So again, something to keep in mind if you do end up taking your phone home and you end up having issues, you can let us know. We typically know what sort of settings need to be modified so that our services can work properly. The second option that we have is to call forward your extension to a cell phone or a landline or any other number that you might have available to you. Any individual extension can be forwarded to another number. So if you're sitting at your desk and you want all of the calls that come into that desk phone to go to your cell phone instead, you can either do it directly on the phone or you can call us and we can program that on our end here. A couple of things to consider with this option is that every time you call forward a call from your desktop phone to a cell phone, you're using up one additional call path. Call path is our version of line. So every time a call comes in, it's using up one line. When it's going back out to a cell phone, you're using a second line. Depending on your account, you may or may not have enough call paths to actually be able to do this for every extension. So if at some point you saturate all of your call paths, any incoming calls might not be able to actually come through. People will either hear a busy tone or they might hear a message stating that there are no call paths available, and that's a missed call. If you want to go this option, we can monitor call path usage. Anna typically is very good at doing that on a regular basis, so she should know whether or not it might be an issue for you. And if we do need to end up adding additional call paths to your account, they're typically billed, but there's a discount on the billing on that as well for now. On-demand call paths can also be used. Those are typically $30 a month. And what those are is if you need an additional call path, the system will automatically provide one. When it does so, it'll add a billing item to your monthly invoice for that month. So it only has to be used once for the billing to come up. But once you use it, you have it available for the rest of the month. And again, we do offer a discount on that for now as well. And then we have the two options that we're really going to go a little bit more in depth in today, which are going to be the Core Nexa UC and mobile application. So the UC client is a web-based version that you can access on your laptop computer, and the mobile version is going to be a mobile app that you can download on your Android or iPhone. So anybody that has an extension service with Automated Telecom already has this included in their services. It's something that we just have to go in and enable, but there is not going to be any additional monthly charge if you decide to go with these options. It's going to allow you to receive inbound and outbound calls as if you were at your desk phone. The big thing here is that you have to bring your own device. So for the UC client, employees can just use their laptop or a desktop computer if they have it. And it's going to be an emulation of your desktop phone. The mobile app is going to go wherever your cell phone goes. So as long as you have either a Wi-Fi connection or a data connection, that's going to be something that you can use. Again, they do come with their limitations. The UC client, which you'll see in a bit, doesn't have all of the functionality that your phone may have. You're not going to have visible keys where you can see whether or not somebody is on the phone. You're not going to have the park feature readily available. It is available through a series of star codes that we can also send you more information on. But it's going to be a little bit more trouble to actually access these features. And again, with the mobile app, it's a similar situation where you can use them for basic things and other things might turn out a little more complicated, but there is a way to do it. Again, both of these are available on both the Google Play App Store and the Apple App Store for the mobile app. And if you decide to go with these options, it's really easy to set up. And you just have to provide us with name, email address, and extension number, and we'll get that all going for you. So here's a list of features that the UC mobile app offers. You can call outbound from your extension, so it'll look like you're calling from your desktop phone. People won't ever see your cell phone. You can receive inbound calls that come into your extension as well. You can mute, you can hold, call waiting. You can do conference calling as well, like you would on your desktop phone. You can transfer calls either using a blind transfer or an attended transfer. You can transfer to an extension. You can transfer to a cell phone number. You can set your extension to do not disturb. You can call forward directly from these applications. You'll see your call history. Your voicemail will be readily available there in visual format. You can search through your contacts. The mobile app comes with ringtones, Bluetooth support, so you can use whatever you already use with your cell phone. And in terms of the mobile app, whenever there's an upgrade for the app, you'll automatically be notified. So it'll guarantee that you have the latest version available there. And then the Unified Communications Client, that's going to offer a variety of similar features. So again, most of what you can do on your desktop phone, you can do. There's a couple of other features that the UC client has that the mobile app doesn't. So one of the biggest one is going to be the instant messaging chat. You can automatically send a message to anybody in your organization that is also logged into the UC client. I'll show you that in a little bit here. You'll also be able to do video meetings to where you can send a link for somebody to join a video meeting. It is limited to 4 participants, but it's something that you have available to you, especially when you're trying to connect with other people in the office. All right, so what I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'm going to go ahead and show you what the Unified Communications Client looks like. So give me a second here while I switch over to that. All right, so the UC client can be accessed through our web portal link here. It's just pbx.automatedtelecom.com. This is what the login page looks like. When you log in for the first time, your username is going to be your email address. That's the way we like to set it up, just to make sure we don't have any username errors or duplication error messages. So what you're going to do for the first time access, since the system for security purposes doesn't provide the password, we're going to have you click on forgot your password. You're going to type in your email address in both the username and the email address field, since we use that for the username. So in this case, I would type in my email address here. You can just copy and paste, so that's easier. And then you'd hit send me the instructions. What that's going to do is it's going to send a link over to that email address, and that link is going to have you just reset the password to one of your choice. Once you have your password, you can go ahead and it'll automatically redirect you to this page once you set the new password. You can go ahead and log in. You can click on remember me if you don't want it to have you type your username all the time, but this is what the landing page looks like. So you're going to get a welcome screen. You're going to see that you have on this welcome screen the options to call, to meet, to chat, and to see your voicemail and your history. So if you want to call, you can either hit start dialing, search for a contact. There's also a little dial pad icon here at the top. You can click on that. It's going to give you a dial pad. You can automatically just start dialing a number, hit the send button down here once you have the number dialed in, and you're going to be connected to that call. It's going to show up as if you were calling from your desktop phone. If you're calling another extension, they'll see that it's coming from your extension. And any inbound calls are also going to be received on here. We also have this meeting function here. The meeting function is helpful if you ever need to do a small meeting. Again, it's limited to 4 people, and it's meant for smaller groups. But if you just have to do a one-on-one with someone, or you have a customer that you need to do this with, you can easily send them a link. It's going to prompt you to enter in an email address to send them an invite. And then once they click that link in the email, they'll be able to join. There are a couple of limitations to this and a couple of issues that have recently been brought up. One of the biggest ones is that the meetings are supported on mobile devices. However, there is an issue with iPhones at this moment where iPhones aren't able to join a video meeting through here. They'll be prompted to land on the regular login page for the web portal, and they're never going to get to the meeting page. So Android devices looks like they're able to join a meeting on a mobile device. iPhones are having that issue. We're trying to work that kink out, but we'll provide more information on that as it comes up. Then we also have the chat feature here. You can click on Start a Chat. Again, this is going to be internally. So anybody that's in your organization, you should be able to see it. It'll show you if they're online. And you can go ahead and click on someone here, Start a Chat, and then you'll have a list of chats. You can just send them a message. They're going to see it. They're going to reply. You can even see if somebody is messaging. So if I send a message here to our group chat, and if somebody replies, we should be able to see that there is somebody typing there. Coming soon, I know that you guys can see on my screen here that I have a text feature. This text feature is in the beta phase. We're not actually able to provide it to you just quite, but it is something that's going to be available within the UC client. So you're actually going to be able to text out using a specified number. It is going to be able to be used at some point with your office number. Again, this is still in beta phases, but it's something to look forward to, especially if you get in the hang of using the UC client on a regular basis. You're going to be able to communicate with your clients and your customers through this portal as well. All right, so we already went through meetings here. And then we also have a voicemail section. So you're going to be able to visually see any messages that are in your mailbox. You can see that there is a transcription here. The transcription service isn't on everybody's account. It's an optional service that does come at a monthly premium, but if it's something that you're interested in, you can get in touch with us and we can go ahead and get you set up with that as well. But you can see who the call was made from, the number, the time, the date, and then you can listen to it directly from here. If need be, you can even download it and then you can delete it and manage your messages accordingly here. There also is a call recording section in here. Call recording isn't available for me specifically. This is something that if you decide we can enable on your account, and when it's enabled, any extension can see their own call recordings within this section here. So if you don't have call recording, you won't see this icon. If you do, you should be able to see the list of recordings for that extension. And then the last icon here on the left is going to be the call history. You're going to be able to see a history of your calls. You can filter through it. You can search by name, by phone, by extension, and then a range of dates here that you can set on your own if you ever need to locate a call or go through a specific history range there. We also have the little badge here that shows the initials of whoever's logged in. If you click on it, you can set your status to away, do not disturb, or invisible. That way, whoever else is logged in and in the UC client, this is the status that they're going to see. By default, it's shown to be available. You can easily modify it here. And then if we go into the settings, there's a couple more features that you can set up. You can modify your profile. This information is going to be available to anybody else in the UC client. So if you want anybody in your company to know your cell phone number, you can easily put it in there. You can modify your conference settings. Just a couple of appearance settings to choose backgrounds and whatnot. And then you can easily change your password in this portal. Then under the calling section, this one's going to be a bit important. So settings and calling, there are some inbound calling rules. So this is going to be somewhere where you can modify the settings for your specific extension. So you can set call forwarding directly from here. If you enable it, it's going to ask you to choose if you want it to forward to a mailbox, to another extension, to an outside line. Outside line, you can type in your cell phone number. That's automatically going to be sent there. If you want it to send to another extension, it'll give you a list of extensions in your account. And then mailboxes, it'll give you a list of mailboxes in your account as well. So you can easily set where you want your extension to be forwarded to. By default, it's turned off. If you need it, you can go in and turn it on. Do not disturb, you can easily set it here as well. If you turn it on, no calls are going to be able to get through to your extension. Just keep that in mind. But if you ever do need to be on do not disturb, you can easily toggle it here. And then we have the inbound dialing rules. This is what is set up in our portal. This is typically set up that we do ourselves. If you need to change it, you can go in and do it. If you have any questions about what some of the options in here are, let us know, because there is a very long drop-down menu. And a lot of these options might actually affect how calls are are routed in your system. So if you want to try and modify the way that your extension works, you can always let us know what you're trying to do, and then we can guide you in the right direction if you're not sure about how to get it done. And then another feature that we have available to all extensions is the Find Me feature. Just gonna hit save here. So the Find Me feature, what it's going to do is it's going to allow you to have several extensions or several numbers dialed out to you in case of you needing to be contacted by somebody on your extension. So let's go back in here. So when the Find Me feature is enabled, if somebody calls your extension, you can either set it to be all the time or during a set time frame. So maybe from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m., which is your after hours. You can set a variety of numbers to be rung out to. So if you have it enabled, the system is going to greet the caller with a message that states, you have reached the personal assistant of, and then your name, or whatever your name greeting in the system is set to. And then you can set different numbers to be rung out to. So let's say after business hours, if somebody wants to try and reach you, you can have them reach your home phone, or if you don't pick up on your home phone, you can set it to ring out to your cell phone. You can set whether you want it to ring out in sequence or at the same time. And then you can set the options here. So let's say you wanted to ring out to your home phone, you would type in your home phone number. And then after that, if you wanted to reach out to your cell phone, you could type your cell phone number. You would enable the ones that you want. You can set how long you want it to ring for, the time that you want it to ring during, and then whether or not you want it to include weekends. And then if you still don't pick up, you can set it to go to your mailbox here or to any other extension or option. The nice thing about the Find Me feature is that even though it does ring out to your cell phone or to the number that you specify, the caller is never going to see that number. So you don't have to give out your personal phone number away. And when the call goes through, you would actually get a call. And when you pick up that call, it would prompt you if you want to accept or if you want to deny the call. Whatever you decide, the caller's never going to know whether you accepted or declined. They're just going to be sent to your mailbox. So they have no clue that you either didn't want to talk to them or couldn't pick up at that time. And they're just going to get routed to whatever you set here. So it's a nice feature to have. Again, it's a bit complicated in setting up, but if you have any questions regarding it, just let us know and we can walk you through setting it up or even set it up for you. Keep in mind that when you do enter phone numbers in this area, in this section here, you're going to want to make sure that it's a 10-digit phone number. So most accounts don't allow 7-digit dialing, and most people now are used to 10-digit dialing, but just something to consider here. This is just a little demo, but the last option under the settings, which is neat, especially when a lot of us are going to be working from home, is the test connection feature. So when you go here, you can click on this button that says click to start test. And what it's going to do is it's going to analyze your internet connection. And it's going to let you know if it's optimal for the services for using the VoIP telephone services. If there's ever any issues here, it'll sort of let you know that you might expect some sort of jitter or some sort of call issue or audio quality issues. But it's nice to just have an idea of what you have at home and whether or not it's something that maybe even your internet service provider has to get involved in if it becomes an issue. But you can go ahead and go in test connection and just get a quick glance. Again, as long as everything's in the green, you should be fine. Anything above the standard quality line is going to be more than enough to get through, but you can go ahead and go through the different tabs here to see some data on your connection, and you'll see that in this case everything turned out green, meaning the service isn't going to be affected by the internet connection. All right. And then one last thing for any administrators or account owners out there, if you ever do need to access the web portal that has access to any sort of billing or account settings, you can go into applications and click on account manager. So that's just going to open up another tab, and it's going to take you to our account manager, which is where you can access settings for all extensions, not just your own voicemail for all extensions. This also depends just on the um, permissions that you have on that specific account. If you ever need to access something and you don't have access to it, let us know. We can easily edit those or make you give you the appropriate permissions. And then a nice way to segue into the mobile app version here is under applications, you also have a mobile download section. So you can use these two QR codes if you scan it with your phone's camera. It'll take you to the App Store for iOS or the Google Play Store for Android. And then once you have the app downloaded, there is actually a option to log in by scanning this code, so you don't have to type in your username and your password. But let me go ahead and transition into the mobile app, and I'll show you that. All right, so this is the landing page for the mobile app. Let me show you what it looks like on the App Store here. So if we search, the app is called Cornexa. If we hit search here, usually it's the second result. And this is what the app looks like in the App Store. It looks very similar in the Google Play Store. It has the same icon there for the app badge. Once you download it, this is what the landing page looks like. So again, down here at the bottom, you can see that it has the sign in via QR code option. That's the same QR code that you could scan that's on the UC client. It facilitates logging in, especially if you're someone who saves passwords in a password manager and forgets them all the time. It's very, very handy. You would just log in using the same username and password that you used on the UC client. It uses the same account. And then when you first log in on the mobile app, it's going to ask you to go through a series of permission requests. It's going to ask you to give access to your phone's microphone. That's so that you can make calls and hear people and they can hear you whenever you are using the app. It's going to ask you for access to your contacts. That's so that you have your contacts readily available within the contact section in the app. If there's ever any contact on your phone that you need to call out, you can easily have that contact available. And then it's going to ask you to allow for notifications. Again, allow the notifications so that if you ever get a voicemail message, you automatically get a badge on your phone telling you that you got one. Or if you get a call, if you don't allow notifications, calls actually won't come through. So allow those three things. If the contacts are optional, but the other two you should allow so that you can get the app working properly here. And then when you first log in, this is going to be the default landing page. So you automatically come into the dial pad. Any number that you dialed through here is going to be able, or is going to show as coming from your office phone. It's not going to in any moment show your cell phone. So it's a great way to keep your personal number private. You're also going to have recent calls. Any calls from your extension are going to show here. And you're going to have your contacts, which again, it'll separate them from favorites, corporate, which is going to be anybody in your organization, personal, and then if you click on that last little icon, it'll do everybody that's on your actual device. If you click on this icon down here at the bottom right, that's going to take you into the menu. You're going to see that there's a voicemail section. Again, it's going to be the same list of voicemail that you see in the UC client. You're going to have the transcription. You're going to have the option to call back directly on here and to listen to the messages. Up at the top left, you can even change your voicemail greetings for your mailbox. So it's something that's really handy and doesn't keep you tied to your phone for all of those features. You can do conference calls. You can check your recent call history, again, contacts. The virtual attendant is something that is available on here, although it's not something that we widely use with a lot of our customers. So if it's something you're interested in, you can let us know. But most of your setups don't include it, and you might not benefit too much from actually having it. And then in the settings section here, one other thing that I forgot to mention is when you first log into the app on your phone, it's going to ask you to allow, if you want to allow inbound calling. We typically recommend not allowing inbound calls only because the quality of the call is going to highly depend on your internet connection or your data connection. So if you're in a place where you have a good Wi-Fi, a strong Wi-Fi connection, that's not going to be an issue. If you're in a place where you have more than 3 bars of 4G or LTE or 5G service now, that's not going to be an issue either. But if you're ever in a situation where you're out and about and your cell phone service signal is low and you might not have anything above 3G, maybe you have 3G, the call quality might suffer. You might have issue accessing the voicemail servers and you might get issues or error messages popping up. The best thing to do is make sure that you have a strong connection. That's typically going to eradicate any of those issues, which is why we typically don't accept inbound calls. In situations like this, where maybe the phone is going to be your desk phone or your work phone for a prolonged amount of time, you might want to accept it. Just keep in mind that if you ever do have issues with it, it might just be something related to your data connection and not necessarily an issue with the app. So that's something to consider there. Again, you have then in the settings the option to set do not disturb. You have the option to set call forward. You have the option to set different ringtones if you need to. And then down at the very bottom, if there ever is any issue that you experience on the app, we recommend going into the leave feedback section here, type in a small message of what's going on and what the issue is, or if it's just feedback and constructive and not necessarily related to any issue, you can type that in here and then hit submit. What that's going to do is it's actually going to send a log of the app to our system, and then we're going to be able to better identify what the issue is in that case and be able to better help you. So any issues that you might experience, this is going to be the first place. Let us know once you do that so that we can follow up on it. But go ahead and submit any feedback that you have through there. Okay. Let me go ahead and go back to our slides here. All right, so there are a couple of requirements for the UC client and the mobile app. Again, the biggest requirements for the app are going to be an iOS or an Android device, and then your internet connection, just making sure that that's reliable and that that's strong. For the UC client, we strongly recommend using the Google Chrome browser. That's what most people use from what we've seen. But if you have a Mac, we still recommend using Chrome. The software behind it is developed using Google Chrome, so we're better able to help you if you do end up having any issues using the Chrome browser there. And then the only other requirements are that you already have an extension in our system with us and getting a user account set up. For that, we just need name, first, last name, email address, and the numbered extension that the account will be associated with. So fairly simple to set up. We typically get these set up in a few minutes if you let us know that you want them. And even if it's somebody that isn't already on our platform, if you know anybody that is in need of any sort of mobile services or remote work from home services, it's something that we can get set up in a relatively quick time frame. So don't hesitate to let anybody know if you think they could benefit from our services here. A couple of different features that we can provide that are not necessarily related to those. Text messaging, even though it's not going to be through the UC client platform yet, we do offer a couple of different plans. They start at $20 a month, just about. Voice to text transcription, if you do want to have your messages transcribed, they can be readily available in the UC client like you saw and in the mobile app. They can also be delivered to you via text and via email. So that way you don't even have to open up the message, listen to it. You can just read it at a glance and then see what it's about. A couple of things to consider there is a lot of the times the transcription is not perfect. So there might be situations where you have to go in and listen to it. But for the most part, over 90% of the time, it's something that comes in handy. We do have call recording available. Again, there's a couple different plans with that, but if it's something that you're interested in, and especially now where you might not have as much control over being able to listen in the office or to somebody next to you, or a lot of control over employees, you might want to consider call recording. And we have a couple of different plans that we can get you set up on that. Again, it's something relatively easy that we can do. We have a robocall filter or blocker. A lot of you may have heard this when you have called into us recently. It's a message that just prompts people to dial in a code before actually being connected. We use it internally, and we've actually stopped receiving robocalls since we enabled this feature on our account. So we highly recommend it if it's something that you are struggling with all these robocalls coming through. And then another feature that we can offer is a hosted fax. It's just fax that goes through your email instead of going through a physical machine. You can send and receive through your email, so it's very, very handy, especially when you may not be able to access your fax machine, or you may not be near it all the time. We also have most of our customers where we do entire network setups. We have Peplink routers set up on their networks. They help us to be able to manage and to provide our services optimally. We have over 75 of our local installations that are using these. They allow us to use VPNs and network firewalls, which VPNs will allow you to connect remotely to your network. And in times like these where you may have to access your computer and your network from a remote location, it can come in handy here. And then we also have a lot of, or not a lot of, we have secondary internet connections that we can provide for redundancy in the situations where there are critical operations going on. So the Peplink routers that we set up allow for multiple internet connections to be set up. We can do a wired connection, or we can even do a point-to-point wireless connection. And then there's also the ability to do wireless networks from Verizon, T-Mobile, or AT&T as a backup connection so that you don't lose connectivity at all. If you are interested in any of those services, please send us an email at the end of this. You can also use the chat feature here in the meeting to type in any questions, but that's pretty much the gist of our presentation today. If you have any questions, we can take a few in the chat section of the meets here. If not, you can always just email us your questions separately. You can email those to customerservice@automatedtelecom.com, and then we can answer any questions or concerns that you may have there. All right, and with that, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up. But again, if you are interested in getting this set up for you, for your company, for any of your employees, let us know. We're here to help you, and we're here to make sure that we all get through this. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for your time. I hope everybody has a good day.